Hi, this is Edward, and I'm here today with Jennifer Schmidt, who is a blogger, a contributor to thenextgreatgeneration.com, a graduate student at Tufts, and a political activist, which is interesting and great to talk to because there's lots to talk about relating to politics. And I think we should talk about Obama, since you guys put him in the White House, and right now he's in a little bit of trouble. Would you think?
I do think he's in a little bit of trouble. I think he's, not to use a pun, treading the waters very carefully in the whole Gulf situation. And, a lot of people have come out and said he's not acting strongly enough. And Gen Y is really sort of pushing him to respond, because this is our future and our livelihood. And I think he's getting a lot of criticism across the board for not being what he promised to be on a lot of issues.
Right, so he's so calm and he's so level-headed, and as you said, everybody's sort of condemning him for not getting emotional and angry and all that kind of stuff, and of course the Republicans are all over him right now for mismanaging what is his 9/11. Would your generation, do you think if the re-election were held right now, would Gen Y be behind Obama as much as it was in the last election, or is he going to risk losing that community?
I think we'd stay behind him. I think, we're only a year in, 18 months into his presidency, and I think he's definitely working towards some goals that he promised, and he's worked towards healthcare, he's worked towards don't ask, don't tell, repeal. He's done a lot for the job market, and while being in a recession, it's a difficult time to be a president. So I think we have faith and hope in the fact that Obama will follow through on his promise of change and his promise of progression and movement. And I think if things don't get better in the next 2 years, then you are going to see a shift in Gen Y politics away from Obama and maybe more towards a Green Party or more progressive candidate.
I think we might see a shift if you graduate graduate school and can't find a job. I think it's easy for you to have all those positive sentiments about Obama when you're not in the job market. But what about everybody who has got out of college in 2009 and coming in 2010 and might be unemployed?
I think I don't want to speak sort of in broad statements, but I think a lot of Gen Y blames the recession on the previous president and not on the Obama administration, and we're looking to his administration to fix it and sort of return to sort of economic growth that we've seen in this country. And I think we still need to give it a little bit of time. The recession's new, but we are sort of leveling out at this point. Being in the job market, it's difficult, but I think people need to make use of their skills and not sort of lose faith in their own abilities and their own talents. And if in 2 years the recession is still as bad as it is today for the job market, I think Gen Y is adaptable enough to change their skills and to change where our focuses are and find jobs wherever they may be.
So you are basically trying to be living evidence that Gen Y is not apathetic when it comes to issues and causes?
No, I don't think Gen Y is apathetic at all. I think we're one of the most involved generations you can find, and I think we hold true to that idea that the way to change politics is to be involved and to go out and vote. I mean, our Gen Y in the 2008 election, we saw this was a voting bloc that no candidate has ever been able to get out to the polls, and we went out in record numbers. And I think that's going to continue as progressive issues, as gay and lesbian rights, as drug reform and things like that sort of come into play and come onto the social stage. I think Gen Y is going to play a huge activist role.
You haven't mentioned the whole immigrant thing.
I think the immigrant thing is tough. We're dealing with situations in Arizona which are difficult to deal with, but I sort of trend back to us being just an overly progressive generation and an overly accepting generation where we accept diversity and minorities and understand that is part of our culture. It is what makes this country what it is, and it makes us who we are. And we respect immigration issues, and we respect immigrants because, to say it bluntly, they do jobs that we as Gen Y don't want to do. And so I think, you have to respect sort of both sides of the issue.
So now, do you think that your progressive open-mindedness is the result of being the children of the great baby boomer generation from where I hail? You think that had anything to do with it?
I think it has a big part of it. I also think it's because we sort of came into our political mindset when Clinton was leaving office, and we saw this great figure and one of my idols sort of lead the political charge and then hand over to the reins to someone that we really saw sort of, at least in our minds as the generation, sort of bring down everything that we had thought this country stood for. And so we came into our political own in in an era that was not politically favorable to our generation or to others. So I think we just worked to change that as hard as we could, and I think you saw the results in 2008.
Awesome. Do you get any Republican friends?
Yeah, but not, but not very many, and we tend to keep politics and religion off of the discussion table when we're together.
I think that's a good idea. So we're going to keep politics, religion off the table here at TNGG. Thanks for joining us. Jennifer, thanks for being here, and thanks for writing great stuff for TNGG. And keep on reading and send in any thoughts, ideas, recommendations for who else you'd like to see in next week's video.